Hello, boy! You got me again. West of the hand thing. Got me every time. We're back for another edition of the MMA Analysis podcast. I think I was off last week. Moving venues. I'm down by the beach, about a couple blocks from the Great Ocean. Changing it up for a little bit of a summer look. No Lance this week.
Maybe.
For better or worse.
Probably.
Yeah, probably. But we were joined by the other usual suspects, two Canadians. Say hello. We got strong beards going. Americans on this side, not so much facial hair. Must be a different thing.
I finally shaved.
That was nice of you. Spending all that time out in the sod. Can't have facial hair like that. It's not going to be good. You're going to be...
Especially when I've actually had to do some shit. Like,
oh shit, putting the old man back to work.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good.
Well, we're back, and we won a consensus. And we won a consensus bet. I don't show up, and the consensus wins. But
of course,
it was a consensus winner. We all agreed.
You let a majority of Jews come up with a consensus, and it's going to be a winner. I tell you.
Well, they're going to be very miserly. They're going to look
Canadians. You're on the right track.
Well, we know you're going to be looking for value. That's for sure.
Exactly. All right. Before we get too much into the show, I just have to read this tweet that just popped up. It's not related to politics or any of that bullshit. All right. Spanish porn star.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Spanish porn star Nacho Vidal, who likes to advertise his aromatic candles shaped like male genitalia on Twitter, has been arrested on manslaughter charges following a man's death during a mystic ritual in which he inhaled psychedelic toad venom.
That's not real.
That's
2020.
That's 2020 shit. Yeah,
that's toad venom.
That describes 2020 right now.
Toad venom.
He's gonna run that prison. That's all I'm saying.
If he wants to, yeah.
Oh, fuck,
man.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
2020, baby.
Gonna be less movies, you know. They're gonna have to cast some other folk.
We're safe though now. Jon Jones is on the job.
Yeah, he's keeping the mean streets of Albuquerque safe.
He's got the safety glasses on.
Man, that pick is
that's
just
great.
That's fantastic stuff.
I keep having images of Jon Jones just sitting on the bang bus with that gear on, just sitting there waiting for the show.
Hey,
man. I'm ready.
Next time he fucks up, he might end up in there with Nacho.
I mean, I think he's hoping for something else, but you know, it is what it is. His fiance loves to watch, and you know, he does what he does.
That's a thing. I love the second guy who took the paint can from in that very first video that he did. He's like, man, I wasn't doing anything. I didn't do anything. I always bring this paint can around with me.
Yeah, right.
It's what I do. I'm a balaclava and a paint can.
This is 2020. No one does anything.
There's all kinds of characters in old Albuquerque, New Mexico, Brad.
Yeah, Albuquerque definitely seems like a character kind of town, though. There's definitely no one's really from Albuquerque. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a place people sort of find at some point in their life. It's different. It's a cowboy town. It is.
Sure.
Yeah.
But never been there, not planning on going. So.
Yeah, Jon. But Jon's keeping busy, trying to stay out of trouble, trying to get other people to stay out of trouble. I mean, okay. It beats the alternative for him.
Does it though?
What's the depends?
I mean,
it's more entertaining the other way.
It beats hit and runs. It beats hit and runs. Beats breaking people's arms. Yeah.
I liked him a little better out the next day when he was helping kind of clean shit up and stuff like that. We don't need vigilante Jones out there dressed up like a 1986 track star with the fucking goggles and
that just feels like
headband.
bad.
That was a good look. That was a good look.
Dolce goggles, you know.
Yeah, he looked like he was ready to run the 100 hurdles and shit. Like, dude, just, I'm good with John trying to help clean up, but it kind of just, I don't know.
In other Jon news, is he retired? What is he doing? Is he does not getting paid enough? He says he's done. He's
digging his heels in.
I like it.
That money.
Hey,
I like it.
Yeah.
More props to him, man. And
I'm
I'm glad
a long
that
time ago.
I'm glad somebody finally came out and just like, Dana, you're full of shit. You're just flat out fucking lying, and you're a bunch of bullshit, and everybody knows it. Like,
well, if anybody's gonna say it, it's gonna be him.
Speaking of guys who are full of shit, did you see that the poll that came out from that Athletic article where they were like, fighters, who would you like to be your union representative?
yeah,
And it was
Connor
like,
and
Connor and DC.
Who are the choices?
It was just
anybody
anybody.
they wanted to say.
Yeah.
You write in it. You write in a name, and who was one? Wait,
It was,
so
it was the article that like it was Ben Folks did it, I think.
The Athletic did it.
Nah, Chad Dundas, I think.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was
Whatever, same
Gross
shit. They're the
and
same person.
Dundas. Yeah, but DC second is probably even more fucked up than them saying Connor first. You know, like y'all don't see DC company man like just on Ariel's show talking like.
When did they ask this question? It was probably before he was fucking shilling on Helwani's.
I mean, at least DC's approachable. I feel though. He has
He's a company
that,
man. He's
very approachable for the UFC.
He's
UFC
also
wants to negotiate with him for fighters' rights.
He's the perfect guy the UFC wants because he would rob the fighters blind. They would think he's all for him because he's good talking and shit, and he would absolutely.
Who else was on this top? Was there a top five?
So McGregor was 24.6%.
One out of every four fighters picked.
Thinking McGregor is
the most money, and he knows he.
But it's just for him.
Jay, fighters are smart. They
bargain,
get punched in the
he
head
would get more percentage. He would get more money.
Nushan, take me through the rest because I feel like we could have played Family Feud with this thing, and I would never get these answers right.
Jay, do it. Jay, hold on, 2, 4, 6, 8. Top 10 answers are on the board. Jay, we already gave you a couple of them. Who else are we thinking?
We gave you one
for this. Oh man.
So we've got Connor, we've got DC. So the next top 8 answers are on the board.
The next top, how many?
8. Anybody in the MMA sphere.
Yep.
Doesn't have to be current UFC.
You got a guess first, Jay? Come on.
Oh, Jay, did you die?
Oh, Jay's frozen.
He moved to the beach. Now he's got that beach internet.
I asked him a question and just broke him.
Stumped him.
Absolutely broke him.
Stumped him.
Here he comes. Here he comes.
There we go.
Oh,
I had to go.
You got to move to the router.
We got to move the router. Yeah.
All right. So, Jay, when did you disappear?
I only heard the 2.
Okay. So the next top 8 answers are on the board. Family Feud style. What do we got?
Oof. I can't play like Guess Who, right? So I can't say, is there like, it's
doesn't have to be current UFC.
Oh,
obviously,
really?
Could be
it's more
retired too.
skewed towards that, but
Could be retired. Is George St. Pierre on this list?
he is
Yes,
the
number
number 3
3
answer.
Number
Yes.
3.
Yeah. Who else we got?
Who else? Could there be more retired fighters?
It's not fucking 20 questions here, Jay. Come on.
Come on, Jay. Let's go. Just grilling you.
Say a name. Any name.
Jon Jones can't be on this list, can he?
No, he's not.
No.
All right. So after GSP, we got Chael Sonnen. Chael Sonnen
He's in Bellator.
is 4.
But he's another shield for the company.
Dominic Cruz is number 5, so that was a good guess. Leslie Smith, who I don't think ever made more than $10,000 for a fight.
Because she's pro-union, so she
fights for Bellator.
She's more like a
Cerrone, 7, tied with Randy Couture and Stipe.
I thought Randy might be on there. Stipe?
Yeah.
Oh, because he works for a union? Oh, okay.
And Coming in, the last one in the top 10,
Am I gonna laugh?
Tim Kennedy.
He seems like a union guy.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
Fuck.
I like that. I like the
Yeah.
Tim
Yeah, that
Kennedy
was
one.
interesting.
Mr. Waterboard
There's-
himself.
There's like three.
Now,
There's
of
three
that list, who would do the best job?
I'll tell you, there's 3 or 4 guys on that list that would literally have the UFC making more money
Yeah.
when they went into negotiations than the fighters. I'll tell you that.
Yep. I think there's only 2 guys on the list who have really sort of stood up to the UFC
I think
in terms of
GSP,
pay.
personally.
GSP and Randy are the only 2 on that list that have actually stood up to them for pay. Like, you could say Connor, but
I mean,
not
Connor
really.
I mean, he's the highest paid. Like
I just
Yeah,
don't
but
feel
he-
like being highest paid.
That's
is
just for
gonna
himself,
be
though. He's not going to
The
do
best,
the.
the best negotiator for all fighters. I don't.
Is he
I
really
think you
going to
need
invest
somebody
the
like
time?
that, though.
He's not investing
Yeah.
the time and energy into it.
Isn't GSP is going to be at least one of the top 2 or 3, 4 highest paid fighters the sports scene?
Yeah,
Plus,
but they're
he's
not.
actually.
You need a current fighter, or else it doesn't really do much.
I don't know. I don't know if you necessarily need a current fighter. One with if he's not a current fighter, he needs to have a name and stature like a GSP.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
the other sports don't use current athletes; they usually have retired athletes.
It's usually like recently retired guys, though.
Yeah.
For like
So-
the NFL Player Association, it's like it was Troy Vincent for a long time. Right
I just
after
think
he
in MMA
retired.
you need somebody who's
NBA
active, so
had
you can
Derek
actually-
Fisher, who that dude's a
Yep.
he's a thing all of himself,
Oh,
but whatever.
Yeah,
But
That's
yeah,
my
that's
bar.
I think it has to be an active fighter.
there's
but it's
never going to
gonna
be
happen.
a fighters union for guys in the UFC.
I mean, I
Let's
think
just leave it
Dominic
at that.
Cruz might be the smartest of those guys.
The
but
only
he's
time
also
that-
employed by the UFC, so
Yeah,
it's
he works for him.
Exactly,
He's not
that's
gonna fucking
not
do that.
if he wasn't employed by the UFC, he'd probably be the best choice in my opinion. But
Yeah.
Maybe.
there's not going to be any type of collective bargaining or the start of any of it until government intervention happens, and that's I mean Dana's not letting anybody get close to any kind of unionization without government.
he
And
is.
And that'll happen no time soon with the people. And there's
There's going to be the Ali brackets Abdelaziz Act for MMA.
oh man,
Anybody but that guy.
Brad's coming with the heat already. That's good shit.
Fuck.
He's the worst.
He said it's pretty much
Which one
already
is-
in place.
which one
I mean, it's already in place. Dave.
Yeah,
He'd have to get a new burner account.
you just need a little amendment right there. You're good.
Over under 3.5 burner accounts for Ali.
Oh, way over.
Over.
way
over.
way over. And the passwords that every single one, half of his fighters, you know,
They're all the same password.
yeah, all the
Keeps it
same
simple for
password.
him.
1111.
Yeah.
So they're all Habib makes me money or something.
Jay, that's not right. That guy doesn't fight. So
Yeah, when he does, it happens. So. Magic happens.
let's talk about last week
Yeah, let's talk
it's
about
actually
last
a fun
like,
card.
very quickly because there was one good fight,
Oh, come on.
No, it was a pretty good
one
call.
relevant fight.
Relevant, but there was
There's a couple, not a lot though.
there's some good fights.
There were some entertaining fights.
There we go. There's just no name, so it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't.
I
there's
made
no
money.
substance, but I mean, at least there was good fights. There
Like,
could be worse. Could be shit
Augusto
fights.
Sakai
It don't
and
matter.
Blagoy Ivanov.
Yeah, that's fucking
Bellator
garbage.
heavyweight
Yeah,
reject
that's one of the
for
worst.
co-main event.
That was so bad. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's one of the worst co-main events in a long time.
And for everyone, I don't think any of our listeners complain that we shit on women's MMA because our listenership is actually pretty smart as far as MMA fans go. We shit on that as a co-main event too. So
Yeah,
don't
That's
worry, we're
garbage.
fair.
yeah,
Equality, baby.
that's right.
I mean, I would probably maybe enjoy it a little more and watch it a little more if it was all condensed into one spot. And somebody came up with that ideal not, that long ago.
Oh yeah.
No.
All women's MMA condensed in one spot where you
Oh,
had
yeah,
the
they-
best
Did,
roster and
are
all
they
that.
like last week's podcast? Wes?
On
We
Fight
fucking
Pass?
railed
They
on
usually like fighting
shit
in
fights last-
Mason Temples. Freemason
I mean,
Temples.
I've been saying
Yeah,
it
in Kansas
for a
City.
while, but we all had,
Yeah.
The mecca of women's MMA, Kansas City, Missouri.
Damn
What
right.
do you-
Exactly.
So you're from Kansas City. So it says, what is Kansas City known for? Well, we're known for steaks, barbecue, and women's
Barbecue.
MMA. Wait a second.
We've got that pretty cool industrial district.
Yeah. It's anyway.
All right, let's.
So
I don't
undercard.
do this
So undercard, we had Chris Gutierrez beat Vince Morales by TKO via leg kicks. Okay.
Fuck out of him.
Casey Kenny took out our friend of the MMA Analysis, Louis Smoka, submission. Tough loss for Smoka.
Can't trust him.
Brandon Royval took out Tim Elliott. Arm triangle choke. Tim Elliott. Guy we like, Jamal Hill. No problems with Clifton Abreu. TKO, knees to the body and punches. Then at welterweight, Daniel Rodriguez, straight decision over Gabriel Green. And then at women's flyweight, Mook Agian did not mook in this fight. Destroyed the lesser Shevchenko. 30-25 across the board. Wolf City. Oof.
Gutierrez by TKO wasn't a huge number or something?
Like 6 plus 600, something like that, plus 650.
Jesus.
Yeah, there was a couple big props that hit early. Me and Brad was tweeting about it, I think.
Yeah. Well, Kenny by sub was like 6 something too.
Yep.
And then Royval by sub was like 350. I got a bit of that.
Yep.
Didn't get the other two. Fuck.
Royval rhymes with Vidal.
Oh. No.
Yeah, I thought Gutierrez looked pretty good, man. I don't know, how good he's gonna be, but a decent fighter. Smoka is just untrustable at this point, man. I don't see how you can. I sprinkled on him at that number, but just never again, man. You can't trust that kid
until he loses.
Yeah, that's been his problem. Always looks decent until he loses. Royval, he's interesting, man. Tim Elliott's just fucking Tim Elliott. Jamal Hill at like minus 110 was the steal of the card. That was my favorite bet on the entire card. Abreu's just absolutely terrible. I like Hill, man. I'd like to see him in a little better shape. He's kind of pudgy, but man, he's got some length and shit, man. He's got the body type.
Win this sport, man.
I think he was in quarantine shape.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good thing so was Clitty.
Then another bet that one of my top bets, man. The Mook again at dog money was just fucking crazy.
Hilarious.
Like Shevchenko, she is so bad, man. Like whatever you say about women's MMA, like Mook again, you know exactly what you're gonna get out of her usually every time.
She's reliable.
Yeah, she is. She wins the fights that she's supposed to win. And at dog money, that was crazy. That was a crazy line, dude.
The talent gap.
If it wasn't women's MMA, I would have bet a lot more.
I would have too.
I still haven't watched that fight.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you don't have to.
But I read that she had, it was a 30-25, you said, Jay?
30-25 on 3 scorecards,
Yeah. So I read that she had like dominant position for like the entire first 2 rounds.
That's how you get
multiple rear naked chokes locked in, and she couldn't finish somebody that people were making fun of who didn't know like her ass from a hole in the ground.
There was multiple times where she had a rear naked in and everything locked, the grip and everything, and still couldn't finish it. Multiple times. Multiple fucking times.
Is there a larger skill gap between 2 siblings who've both contracted to the UFC ever than Shevchenko sisters?
The Tamer brothers are pretty close.
No.
They're pretty close.
They are pretty close.
One is better than the other for sure.
They're pretty close.
You're talking about like one of the all-time great female fighters, like
half sisters, 3, right?
Maybe top 2
half
ever.
sisters, so that shit don't count.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You serious?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I don't think they're full sisters.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
There's been some bad sibling pairings.
I mean, the Lozon.
Probably, the Lozon.
Yeah, Dan Lozon
was really fucking bad.
Like Dan Miller was okay. It wasn't as good as Jim, but Dan was okay.
He was decent for a while.
Guy.
Yep.
The Diaz brothers are both pretty good. I'm trying to think.
They both suck. But they both suck equally.
Well, the Emelianenko brothers, pretty big gap.
Yeah, big gap.
Especially once you get into like the real young one.
Yeah. The Nogs both were pretty good. One was better than the other, but both.
The Shamrocks aren't real brothers, but like Frank is like.
Are they not? They're not either.
And after reading that book, Ken's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Are you reading that book, Wes, or no?
Yeah, I haven't got to get a lot. Just kind of get through a little of his childhood and shit, which is fucked up. But I haven't got through a lot of it yet. I've been busy.
I'm up to like his first fight with Tito in the book.
It's good.
I just finished the chapter on Petey my heart. Petey my heart.
Well, we'll talk about one of the brothers. Actually, both of both Burns brothers. One a little bit later and one much later. Yeah.
That's a pretty big
different skill gap
as well.
Yeah, but
that's pretty big.
Not as much as the Shevchenko sisters, though. Whoa.
Anyway, his wife from KC. she got a laugh out of that's the home of women's MMA down there.
And the Mason Temple, yeah. So main card, Mackenzie Dern's back with submissions. That's a good thing.
Yeah, when we like Dern here on a fucking platter.
Yeah, dude.
Hannah Cyphers has negative fight IQ. That shit was terrible. She was like doing all right.
I mean, it's like I'm beating the shit out of her. I get her down. Hey, fuck it, I'm gonna dive right into the only place I can lose.
Trying to punch her on the ground from like full guard almost. Like, what are you doing? Just back away.
Yep, that's all she had to do.
Completely legitimate move in MMA 10 years ago, Sean. We keep saying this. It's just 10 years behind.
About 10 years? Yeah.
It might be more than a decade, Brad. Maybe like 15, 16 years at this point.
That's fair.
Yeah. So next fight, I kind of like both these guys, but clearly Roberts is
Weaver's a fraud, man. That guy is terrible. He's so bad.
Hear me, Wes. Hear me. I like him as I enjoy watching that he's like he's an interesting character. Like we need characters in this sport. I'm not saying
not if they're that bad.
Roberts, on the other hand, I think there's something there.
This is a fucking beatdown.
I don't think you can tell from this fight, really.
Roberts is good though.
Roberts is good.
I think he's decent, but yeah, we got to see way different competition. But I think he's got some skills for sure. And then that body type again, man, just it's working in MMA. Those types, that length and shit is a problem in MMA.
Yeah.
Eventually, it's going to start happening that all these little bean poles, like Nushan, are just going to start getting ripped to the body. Dudes are just going to collapse their spines.
Where are more of the John Linekers of the world? Like, can we get some fucking little tree stumps throwing bungalows to the ribs? Like, come on.
Absolutely.
I mean, the featherweight champ is kind of like that. He's a short, stocky dude.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, not many of those in the champion class in the MMA. Not anymore. Yeah.
Oh, this next fight was something.
Billy, tell me about this one. I didn't see it, but I heard a lot of people talking about it. Billy Quarantillo takes a decision over Spike Carlisle. A lot of people seem to like this Spike character, but Quarantillo gets the job. 29-28 across the board.
Give me the Billy Q money.
Yep.
Man, I mean, it was. Look, you had to know going in that he was gonna have to weather some shit and hope old boy gassed out. But man, he fucking was landing some shit in the first round that had me fucking puckered. Like I didn't think he was having to weather shit like that. And then like Spike didn't go away. Like
he
that motherfucker
for sure.
Even in the third, when he looked completely fucking fucked, he would have these spurts. Like Billy would get him down and that motherfucker would spurt and reverse him and be on top. But then he just wasn't doing anything, like he could get out and reverse, but then he was just laying there and shit. I'm not sure he landed a punch in the third round. But that was a fun fight. I like Billy Q too, man. He's got a lot of things to work on. Don't get me wrong, but
he's a little too old, I think. But
how old is he?
I thought he was like 30, 31.
Yeah, he might be. I thought he was like late 20s, wasn't he?
Still older, but you can still get going.
Oh, laundry's done, Jay.
You gotta do it.
Quarantio is 31.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's not that young.
I don't know.
Derek
It
just
just depends on how much you've been through up to that 31
Yeah,
spot,
that's
I
fair.
guess. But
Our boy Derek just brought up the Overeem brothers in comparison to the Shevchenko sisters, and Derek Valentin Overeem is a fucking king.
he wrecked some guys back in the day, man.
Yeah.
Yep,
He was a madman, but
that's
he
right.
wrecked some guys.
And some of the like bar fight stories between him and Alistair, he whooped some ass.
Yeah,
I think he had a couple nights in prison.
the Shevchenko, she's not
not
roadhousing
gonna be
The one
anybody.
that you think is the younger Shevchenko, but she's actually the older Shevchenko. Sucks.
We're just gonna put it now. That is the biggest skill gap of siblings of all time. We're gonna.
Yeah,
Unless
now
like
for
ESPN has a
barn
younger
burner
brother.
yeah. Co-main, I guess it's co-main event time. No, co-main. Yeah, co-main. Augusto Sakai and Blagoy Ivanov split decision. I didn't see it. Thank God I didn't see it. I feel like I didn't. That was a good 15 minutes.
Oh man,
I could have done anything better in my life. Would have been better.
So
My dude
bad.
with 2 belly buttons got robbed. Just
Yeah.
saying.
Oh.
I don't know
Cage grab to the
about
back.
that.
Even
Now-
though I'm gonna win
Now
that
look,
shit.
look. If they take, he should have had a point taken. Absolutely. That fight could have. Whoever side you picked or had money on, you probably thought got the fight, but that should have been a point. And I bet fucking Sakai. That was some of the worst shit I've fucking seen, man. I think we're watching. I even said, I think if Blago doesn't like go down to a knee, or if Sakai doesn't like go down to a knee there, like almost he got a half a takedown, even with the cage grab. I think there's a point there or something. But he goes down to a knee and then wrestles and gets back up. So he just lets it go. That shit was fucking, that was bad.
Garbage.
It was really bad.
Herzog, you fuck.
I figured after seeing how like much weight he put on that fence that Trump was going to contact the UFC to build that wall outside of the White House. No way you're pulling that down. Holy shit.
Fuck.
We'll have the biggest, beautiful cage that you've ever seen.
It's just simply wonderful. Yeah.
A cage of likes that's never been seen before.
I've never been seen before. It's amazing.
Terrible fight. Fucking
Yeah,
terrible.
let's not talk.
Yeah.
But we all knew it was going to be terrible.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like an Arlovsky fight in 2020. You know it's not going to be good. You just know.
Yep.
Can we bet on that? I mean, at some point in our lives, like, is this fight going to be
Unless he's getting
entertaining?
murdered by someone. Then it's
Are there going to be more or less viewers at the end of this fight than at the start?
That seems like the easiest bet. And like, yeah, we could bet on is this fight going to be interesting. Yeah, we'd be rich, all of us, collectively. We wouldn't have to work again. Main event. This is where the consensus bet came in on the underdog, Gilbert Burns. 50-45, 50-44, 50-44. Who thought that Gilbert Burns was going to drop Tyron Woodley in the opening round and then just win the rest of the fight? That was a little different than I thought it was going to play out, but the result was the same.
I didn't think he was going to do it that early, but damn, like that guy's he's something.
He's good. I'm sold. That was it for me. I'm sold now on Burns, and I know it's still
Are you
like,
number one contender sold?
I mean, he's not better than I think even Cody at this point, probably. But I mean, he could beat all of those guys right there. Like I think he's that good now. It is like Woodley a little down, of course, but man, that was just an amazing performance to handle him like that. Like come on, that's still impressive. Whatever Woodley it is.
Like in that fight, he was typical Woodley. Like he actually tried to throw some shit. He didn't just stand there. He went for it, and it just didn't matter. Gilbert Burns was a better striker, a faster striker, and then he's a different problem for everybody else in that division because like you've got guys like Masvidal and whatever that are good strikers, but you can take them down and
he beats Masvidal.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about Masvidal if you're on top of them, which, Usman's going to be there, Covington's going to be there, like all these guys are going to end up there. You got to worry if you take Gilbert Burns down and you're on top of him. And not because he's going to sub you from his back, but he's going to be able to sweep you. He's going to be able to get back up. He's going to be able to do a whole bunch of things to you from
Make it work, definitely. Make it work.
That's why I say he could beat any one of those guys. He could absolutely be. He's a championship contender now. I mean, it's not crazy. It's not crazy to say that his hands are better than Usman's and Kobe's at this point. Like, straight up, I think Burns is a better all-around striker than Kobe is. Like, straight up, like Kobe's not the kickboxer that Gilbert Burns is at this point. And what other we was talking about that night, like, there's only a few guys. I liken it to Pedro Munoz, me personally, that world-class level BJJ guys, and Burns is even a level above Munoz that have hands like that, man. Do Bronx has gotten his pretty fucking good, but watching those BJJ champions like that, man, become the kickboxers they are is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an impressive performance.
So that the athletic question, they ask about drug testing and shit, and they were talking about that. So one anonymously said that guys are going over to Thailand and shit and places to train now. That's like a code for going and juicing. That's what fighters think because they don't get tested as much over there.
Well, that kind of makes sense. These are probably farther away.
Especially during the pandemic. And guess who moved his camp over there before that fight? Woodley went over and trained with Mike. Woodley went over and trained at AKA Thailand with Mike Swift for that entire card. So Woodley went for it. Woodley, quote unquote, he went all in for that fight. Absolutely. And still got
he just never evolved, man. And with his athleticism, it gets him pretty far. But if you don't evolve your striking game, you're just
he's way too. He's way too.
He's the same guy that he's the same guy.
He's the same guy he's always been.
He's the same guy Nate went fucking Jean-Claude Van Damme combos on and shit. Like, straight up, he's the same guy.
Yeah. Actually, that's not. He's not the same guy he's always been. He started out as just like a boring top position wrestler.
Yeah.
And then he found out that he could throw a right hand and was fast and had some power, and that was it. That's who he's been for the rest of his career.
He kind of wishes that he was Yoel Romero, but he doesn't. Like, Romero has like all sorts of other strikes that he throws with wacky angles. Like, Woodley's just got the right hand and then the wrestling. So,
and I'd actually listen to a Yoel Romero rap album too. So
there it is.
rapping in Cuban or broken
English. Give me some of that reggaeton, baby,
or broken English. I'd listen to either one of them.
Could be best
voice.
Oh,
so where do we think Woodley goes from here?
Not far.
One FC.
I mean, I honestly think he should just fucking retire.
I mean, I don't know what you do with him because, like,
he never fight anyway.
You can't. Are you going to give him to like guys trying to be like guys trying to break into 8, 9, 10 and shit? But then he could like get scared and start wrestling guys again and running contenders. You know, he's in a bad spot, I think.
Yeah, it really depends on how much they have to pay him now. Like, I didn't even look at the payouts for this, but if he's a guy making like $100,000 a fight,
he does.
Or 100,
way more.
He is. Yeah, it was like he didn't get a win. He didn't get his win bonuses.
He
was big.
Yeah, his show is 150 and his win was another 50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
like, if I'm him and he's facing some like
that's gonna like
outside of the top 10 guy, wrestle him.
I mean, wouldn't the Lawler fight make sense now?
Rematch? I don't even know what Lawler's doing.
I mean,
they were supposed to do it a while ago, weren't they? And it just never happened.
Yeah,
I feel like that works all right, though.
Yeah, I guess Luke. I was thinking about Luke.
I feel like that's a dude that he just wrestles against.
But Luke versus Neil, screw Woodley in there. Just do Luke versus Neil. That'll be bad shit.
Yeah, but nobody knows who either of those guys is.
That's the problem. Yeah, I don't know.
No one really wants to see Woodley fight. Let's be honest here.
He never fights, and the fights he's in is usually boring unless he's. I mean, really.
The problem is that if you really look back 5, 6, 7 years at guys who are champions for like more than one fight, and then what they do after they lose the belt, it's probably like it's like falling off a cliff, right? For the most part.
Yeah.
Woodley's going nowhere.
There's not a lot of times you come back.
Come back from that.
Take that belt back. And it's a lot of times it's not even like all physical either. A lot of that's mental with champions, man. You see it a lot in boxing. Sure. You get to that pinnacle and you get beat, and then mentally you lose that invincibility and you're always questioning yourself. It's hard to get back and win that title.
Well, motivation is a part of it, right? It's hard. It's hard to. How do you get up for a fight like that's like? Oh, now you're like a co-main event in a 3-round fight with nothing on the line. Like after all that, it's got to be part of it. Plus, you're older now. You've been exposed. He's been exposed multiple times,
especially for a guy like him.
I don't see it getting very positive for him.
I don't think his head was fully in it for a while myself. I don't think he's been fully invested.
I don't know if his head was ever really in it.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say he never really loved MMA. I think he was a wrestler that found some success, made some money, and did the best that he could.
He was a wrestler, kind of sport guy. He was never a quote unquote fighter. I don't think so.
I think that's fair. I don't think he's what I would call a fighter.
That Mizzou wrestling team had one hell of a run, though. Like him, Askren, Michael Chandler. Weren't those all Mizzou guys?
One of those guys, yeah. I feel one of those three is different than the other two.
What, Ben Askren knows how to promote himself?
No, that Michael Chandler is actually a fighter. The other two are not.
Michael Chandler is a fighter. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
But also Ben Askren knows how to promote himself. The other two don't.
That's fair too.
Well, unless you count trying to, make a name for yourself in the rap game. He's no Kevin Casey. Have some respect.
Yeah.
At one point, Brad's gonna have to do a top 5, top 10 list of MMA rappers or MMA singers. Period. I
thought you were gonna say a top 5 or top 10 list of Kevin Casey songs.
Yeah, I thought.
I guess that could be done. That could be done as well.
That's right, baby. Well,
that does it for that fight night card.
Yeah, from the good burns to the shitty burns.
Yeah.
Nushan, before we finish? How would you rate that card 1 to 10? I didn't have a chance to see it. I was busy packing up stuff. So other than the main event, so some cards are a 6, some are an 8, some are. This doesn't seem like 6.8. Is that fair? 7?
Yeah, I think so. Like if you're just looking on entertainment, like if you don't give a shit who these people are, fairly entertaining fight. There were some clunkers in there, but. If you're looking for something of substance, then this probably would get a lower card just because who gives a fuck for most of these fights? The winners, nothing really is going to happen other than for Gilbert Burns. The main event's kind of the outlier there. So sure. I give it a 7.
Still don't agree with the number one contender now or the number 1 ranking.
I mean, Woodley should have been number 1 before he lost.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter anyway. So whatever.
Yeah, apparently it doesn't. You're right.
Woodley's on like 3 losses and still ranked ahead of the fighter with no name.
Yeah.
Who?
Exactly.
Yeah, who?
Exactly. The fighter that nobody knows. Fucking Leon Edwards.
Wait, who?
Stop ruining it.
Exactly.
Leon Roberts?
The referee?
There's a ref?
The ref?
Talking about the ref? That British ref?
I'm waiting for the day for a referee to actually be an active fighter. To me, that's going to be the great day.
Hey, Herb was like a kickboxer.
No, but he wasn't doing it while he was actively competing, was he?
No.
Herb was like doing kickboxing for his early time when he was an early ref. Yeah, I don't think he's done it for a long time though.
Wait, Gilbert was training in a garage? Is that true?
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah, you didn't see that?
we didn't
Yeah,
talk about that.
Burns
was
in the garage.
win.
Oh, wow. Garage weight.
Garage Gill.
Garage weight's 2-0 during the pandemic. This is serious.
He was an absolute lock. Like, even Ben bet on Burns. Like that garage training even broke the Ben curse.
Garage
straight
Didn't
up.
give a fuck.
Garage weight is the best thing since frozen pitch profit. You know, this is just an angle you just got to play over and over.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Anyway,
unfortunately, Herbert's not good enough. He doesn't get invited to the garage. So,
well, he might. It may not matter.
It's not
Anyway,
gonna matter. But
can you believe we're at UFC 250? This is what we're getting for UFC 250.
I feel like I blacked out after like UFC 120, and now we're at UFC 250.
There were some good ones. It's hard to
UFC
remember.
120, Bisping Akiyama, baby.
142, 184. There were some good ones. 200 was very good.
Now you're just saying numbers, Jay. None of those things.
I think this is a decent card, but man, for a pay-per-view, Jesus fucking Christ.
yeah,
I mean, I like the card. I think it's a pretty good card on paper.
It just doesn't have big names.
It needs a main event.
Yeah,
that's what we've always said.
There are some there are some really good fights on the main card.
It's a really good card if you know what you're watching.
You're watching.
Yeah,
that's true.
Actually, I would say, aside from the main event, it's a great main card.
Yeah,
but like the prelims, they're fine. There's some good fights, but like
they needed Nunes. They needed Nunes as the co and a decent main event on it.
Are we 100% sure Herbert Burns is not part of the garage weight team?
It didn't seem like I figured
I didn't see him.
Not sure it's gonna matter.
The following week after Gill, they would have shown him in there because they had like Gill's kids in there. They got the whole family in there, but Herbert nowhere to be found. I'm just saying.
Not sure it matters. He's facing Evan Dunham in the opening fight of UFC 250 on Fight Pass. Evan Dunham, Herbert Burns, catch weight 150 pounds. Burns fought what, a few weeks ago? How long ago was that?
No, he fought a long January 25th.
Really? It was that long ago?
He beat up fucking crazy
Nate the Train.
I thought he submitted somebody.
No, he need fucking Nate Landwehr.
Yeah.
Well, no, after that.
No.
Who am I thinking of?
That was his last fight.
No idea.
Yeah, there's too many fucking random no-name fighters for us to guess.
Who am I thinking of? Let me go through the 500 list fighters.
Yeah, that's a good point. Who was the guy who submitted somebody off? Oh my God, I lose my mind. Jay.
Don't torture yourself.
I just saw a video of it. I'm trying to think of who the hell it was. Oh my gosh.
Nobody subs anybody.
Am I thinking of? Is it not Alex Perez? What am I thinking of?
I don't know. Let's get into this fight instead.
All right, Evan Dunham, Herbert Burns. Who wants to start this off this week? Who wants to talk about the ghost of Evan Dunham? I feel like that's like a Brad thing to do.
Brad's ready. Yeah, he's ready now. He's back in his groove and shit.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, I've got no fucking clue on this one because Evan Dunham. I think the last time he fought, I was actually watching MMA before, my little break.
It's not been that long. It's not been too long.
End of 2018 or September 2018.
The last time he won a fight, I was definitely still watching.
There you go.
When was that? When was the last time he won a fight?
September 2016.
He went to a draw. He went to a draw with Dariush in 2017. Yeah.
I remember that fight. It wasn't a draw, but I remember the fight.
And so Evan Dunham's always been like a pretty solid fighter. Like he's a decent striker. He's actually probably a better technical striker than Herbert Burns in this fight. Might even have a little bit of a wrestling advantage, but this guy's been out of the cage so long that you can't trust him. And he was always soft to the body, got hurt to the body a billion times, finished to the body a few times, and now he's trying to do this weird late career drop down to 145 thing, but can't quite get there. So this fight's at 150. So like, as much as you might think Evan Dunham has a chance here, I can't put any money on him. I think that Herbert Burns is like, it's hard to even say that the guy's going to finish him because he's not a good striker. Like when he finishes guys, it's mostly from being able to sub them, and I don't think he subs Evan Dunham here. So I'm just staying completely away from this one because it's weird. Like maybe Dunham somehow steals a decision, but gross. Nothing. Stay away.
All right, Wes.
Yeah, I probably gotta agree with most of that. Like, you want to look for a reason to kind of take Dunham here, but you shouldn't. Like, I'm not big on the other Burns. Like Brad got it right, man. I don't see him like submitting Dunham, but Dunham's flaws and body shots. He's not a great striker, man. If I'd maybe seen Dunham in a fight before this, or even making 145, I might even think about it. But you can't touch him here, even at that dog money. Taking this fight and can't even make the weight 150. Yeah, it's probably going to be a sloppy decision win for Burns.
You definitely don't want to touch somebody for it to be sloppy. So, Nushan, give me your thoughts.
I wanted to fade Herbert Burns in his next fight after the Landwehr knockout, but this just ain't it. I kind of hope he just destroys Evan Dunham, and then he gets hyped up even more.
Little fade plan.
Yeah, because
Classic fade plan.
I just don't think he's that good.
He is.
Although before Dunham's break here, he lost his last 2 fights by knee, and Herbert Burns won the last one by knee. So Dunham's probably going to get kneed here.
Yeah. Dunham's so weak to the body. He probably gets dropped from a body shot, maybe a knee. So I'll pick Herbert Burns. I really wanted to fade him, but can't do it here.
I have Burns a D+, Dunham a D. I mean, Dunham turns 39 later this year. He hasn't been that active. He's very susceptible to damage. He was at one point a pretty complete fighter, like in terms of his skill set. I mean, I don't think he's really, really poor at anything except maybe like just defensive, just taking strikes at this point. But Burns is younger. Burns is like is extremely good at jiu-jitsu, submission game. Dunham tough to submit, but I could see Burns dominating position on the mat, using his strength over Dunham to win the fight. I think there's like, it's Evan Dunham. I want to play him at like plus 230 or something. I think that's fool's gold. It's kind of like throwing a worm out in the, getting a fishing rod, throwing the worm out into the water and trying to catch a 400-pound tuna. It's like not going to happen.
Apparently people have been buying into it though, Jay, because he's back down to plus 185.
Good God, Lord help us. Yeah. Well, that's not very smart. Burns is going to win this fight. I think he'll do so pretty easily. Well, probably a wide decision, but could be a stoppage from strikes as well. All right. What do we got? This should be interesting. Devin Clark, Alonzo Menafield, light heavyweight matchup. I think I read some sort of I got to look this up on Menafield. Hold on a second.
He's got a big cock, Jay.
That you're talking about, Jay?
Yeah, is that what it is? He hasn't.
It's 32 seconds of round 2.
Yeah. So okay. He's never seen the third round of a fight, right? All right.
I thought it was something about 10 inches, but I guess
and he's got a monster piece. Yeah,
I can't confirm or deny that. I don't know if he's Tito or Tiger level or Nagano level. So we'll leave that to Wes. He's the expert in that space.
Nobody is. You just named like the Mount Rushmore of fucking pieces.
That's gonna be another bit at one point. We're gonna have a Mount Rushmore of hogs. Mount Hogmore.
You just named 3, so I mean,
yeah, we need one more.
Is it just the MMA Mount Rushmore, or is it all sports? All athletics?
No, it's just the game. I don't know. Luke Rockhold might be up there too.
If you're going all, If you're going all sports, you gotta throw my boy Serge Ibaka up there for sure.
Oh yeah.
Now you're talking about like 7 foot tall humans.
Yeah, our boy the OBC carries the name the Caucasian Ibaka. That should tell you something.
I mean, Yao Ming's probably in there just for being so big. I mean,
I bet he still got a 3-inch piece. Could you imagine like 7'8" dude?
Would look like a micro on that body. Oh, fuck.
Oh, where are we fucking going?
All right. Who wants to start with this one? I don't know if Brad even
Wesley.
knows who the cats are. Yeah, well, let's start with Wes. Let's go back to Wes now.
Minifield, man. I think y'all just looked it up. I was going to say it. He barely gets out of the first here. I think Devin Clark might be a little bit better all around here, but man, that Clark chin has been a little shaky in the past, man. And Minifield is going to throw fucking bombs from the get go. I like Minifield here, man. He's minus 135 by TKO. I think he's going to knock out Devin Clark, and I'll take a little bit of that.
All right, new Sean.
Yeah, I'm picking Minifield, but I don't feel comfortable laying that just because if Devin Clark does survive, he gets a shit ton of takedowns, and Minifield, I mean, he has decent takedown like stats, but he hasn't faced any kind of a wrestler either in the UFC anyway. So that scares me away a bit. I think he probably does KO Devin Clark in the first couple minutes of the first round, but if he doesn't, then it gets a little scary. So I'm staying away.
Mr. Bunker breakdowns.
Jay, I actually do know who both of these guys are, so there's that. Because Clark's been in the UFC for a while, and he has never beaten anybody good. And Minifield, I've been watching since like back in the RFA switching over to LFA sort of days. So I've seen him come up and watched him on Contender Series and that sort of stuff. I haven't seen his recent fights, but he's knocking out guys that are half decent. And Clark is just a dude that's never impressed me. He leaves his chin hanging out there, and he's facing a guy that if you leave your chin hanging out there, he should probably be a middleweight, but Clark should probably be a middleweight too. And I don't think he's going to have much of an advantage here in terms of size, physicality, that sort of stuff. So I think that Menifield's going to catch him and get the job done here. I think his record of not going into the third round is going to continue in this one, but it's kind of difficult to find a bet here.
Okay. I'm just curious the size differential in this fight.
I think Clark's a bit taller.
Is he really?
About 6 inches.
Yeah.
6 foot,
Oh,
76
6
inch reach.
Yeah.
To Clark. Clark always seems shorter to me than that.
Yeah.
6 foot,
well,
75.
like I said, Clark used to fight at middleweight, and then he moved up to light heavyweight. And really, Menifield, he's had a bunch of light heavyweight fights where he's weighed in way under the limit. So both these guys are, if they want to be top fighters, they're middleweights, but they're fighting at light heavyweight. So I don't think there's any difference there.
Nice.
Oh shit!
Uh-oh.
The Florida Wildfire picking up again. Jay's on the move.
So Jay is going to give Alonzo Menifield a C and Devin Clark a D+.
That sounds about right.
That's my prediction for his grades. He is also going to pick Alonzo Menifield by TKO.
I give his beach internet an F.
Moving up to a real fight, baby. Except why the fuck is this buried on the prelims the way it is? We got the Juicy Man, Juicy A Formiga, taking on good little flyweight prospect. Busy fighter, still relatively young, Alex Perez. This is going to be a good one. Wes, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I think coming out of this fight, we'll know a lot more about Alex Perez. I'm fairly high on him at this point. I think this is the perfect matchup for him at this point in his career. I think Juicy is on the back end, man. 38 years old at this weight class is getting close to the end of it. To be competitive in this division, you just you usually slow down way too much. I mean, the whole thing here is Perez keeping it on the feet, man. He keeps it on the feet here. I think he can out kickbox Juicy. If this gets to the mat consistently, then he's going to have to survive. I think Perez keeps this up here. I'm pretty big on betting these younger up-and-coming prospects that I think are pretty decent against aging vets. And I've been on. There he is.
Jay,
battery issues. Battery issues.
Battery. What are batteries different in Florida too?
Florida, yeah. But
finish up.
Yeah,
I know. Finish up, Wes.
Yeah, so I think at this point, man, I've been on Juicy a lot of times over the past years, man. Like I said, just when guys get this age in this division, it's going to be really hard to beat younger prospects like this. So I like Perez. It's just going to be a regular bet, nothing big. But yeah, I'm going to take the younger prospect that I think is or could be pretty damn good. So yeah, Perez for me.
Sean.
I'd put just a small 1 unit play on Formiga here. It's kind of a show me bet. I got him at plus 122. Alex Perez, if you look at the strength of competition that he's faced in the UFC, it's pretty fucking terrible. He's done what he's had to do in there, right? I mean, he's finishing these guys are looking pretty dominant. When he took that step up against Benavidez, obviously that didn't end too well. But
Shelton and Shorty Torres is pretty good wins, I think.
Man, he's lost a bunch.
Torres is good. Shelton, I don't think that's anywhere near.
Torres might have all been an atom weight though.
This is absolutely his hardest competition. Don't get me wrong.
Well,
yeah, and I mean Formiga, he's definitely. I mean, his last two fights, that was a pretty tough fight against Brandon Moreno. But I mean, yeah, I mean, and they may have won that fight. It was just over a year ago. He beat Figueiredo. Could he do that to Perez? Take him down and get control? I think he can. So it's kind of just a show me bet. If Perez is legit and runs over Formiga, then I'll be fine losing that bet. But Formiga really only loses to the elite guys. So I had to put a small play on him.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just kind of hoping that people would just look at the fact that Formiga took the loss against Moreno and kind of forget about that actual fight, because there's been a lot of fights lately. So I was hoping that would happen, and I'd be able to get a little bit more of a dog price on Formiga here, because we've seen the evolution in his striking over his UFC tenure. And obviously, the guy is still, top 5 in the world in terms of taking people's back and holding on to it. So I just find that in these flyweight fights that there's always scrambles. Regardless of if it's two strikers, there just always ends up being scrambles in this fight. And I think Juicy's going to win those scrambles, either end up on top. And when he's on top, the strategy for guys is to roll to your knees and try and get back to your feet as quick as possible. And when you do that against him, he's going to take your back. And once he's got your back for the round. So I think that the striking is going to be competitive in here. There's probably a little edge to Perez there, but as soon as this hits the mat in any way, shape, or form, I got to give it to Juicy. So even now that it's down at basically even money for him, I might put a little bet on him, but I think that he's going to pull out the victory here. I'm just hoping that the line goes back up a little bit, because I know that there's lots of people that are siding with Wes here, and I do think that Perez is a very good flyweight. I just don't think that he's quite on this level at this point.
Look, I will say one thing. Even if you think that Juicy won that fight against Moreno, which I do, I bet Juicy in that fight, he did not look like the regular Juicy when they was on the mat scrambling. Like he couldn't do what he usually does to Brandon fucking Moreno on the mat. So
Moreno is long though for a flyweight.
I think Perez is better on the mat though at this point. Like his last win, however you think about Espino, he was a decent wrestler and Perez just absolutely mauled him. I'm not sure Juicy's even not lost a little bit of that speed and scrambling on the mat from watching the Moreno fight, because he didn't look like the same Juicy on the mat against Brandon Moreno. Now, Perez is a different opponent and stuff, and I will say Moreno's like improved incredibly since he came back to the UFC. So maybe Moreno just was a tougher out than Perez would be, but it's a good fight.
He's got his quarantine legs under him now, though. He's ready. Yeah. He's used to this environment.
I can't fault somebody for taking plus money on Juicy, man. I've bet him so many times. I'm just a believer in Perez. So yeah, it's a good fight. Good measuring stick for Perez.
Okay, I got Formiga B-, Perez C+. This should be a competitive fight. Formiga's for a long time been one of the top guys in this weight class. Really, just kind of one level below the championship caliber. Perez has been on the come up, has looked pretty impressive, but this is certainly his toughest test. Formiga is getting older. That certainly is a worry for me, and that's one of the reasons I won't be betting this fight, despite believing that he should be favored here. I just wonder if Perez really is up to snuff, if he can handle the kind of the grappling transitions that Formiga really is. Been just kind of an excellent fighter, just excellent ability in that regard. So again, Wes is right. Good measuring stick. Let's see what happens. That's just the reality of it. All right. Moving up to the prelims, we got Charles Byrd taking on something called Magny Patolo. That's not a real fighter, is it?
It's a sushi dish.
Oh, nice. What is it?
I don't know. Magny Patolo.
What kind of?
You know what any sushi dish is? Jay, come on.
Yeah, we're cultured down here, Brad. We actually can get our own fish. I figured the oceans are frozen. The water, the fresh water is frozen up in Canada. You can't get anything.
Man, I'm all about the lake trout.
Oh, frozen lake trout, like grumpy old men style.
Jay, you've obviously never been ice fishing. Come on.
Of course I haven't. We don't have iced water where we are.
You sit.
Wes, you even know what? Wes, have you ever seen iced over lake before, or like that you can go fishing? You ever seen anybody fishing ice lake?
No, not.
That is hilarious to think.
You're not doing ice fishing down here, but
I mean, my grandparents, Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau, are good at it. That's all I know.
Oh fuck!
Good shit.
Yeah. All right. I don't know what to say. Wes, do you know anything about Magny Patolo?
Man, look, I don't know, man. He looked okay on his Contender Series fight, but you go over there, and I don't care if it's in Australia, New Zealand, or wherever the fuck you get beat by Caleb fucking Potter. I don't know, man. Charles Byrd that guy's got the look and shit, but I don't think he's good. But there's no way I can play either one of these guys. I really don't even know who to pick yet. So it'd probably flip a coin or take the dog in Toutmaster. Absolutely no bet here.
All right. He's got no bet. Nushan, do you have a bet?
Nothing.
No, I got nothing on this.
That's nice.
Bird's 36 years old. Patolo doesn't seem that great. I don't think losing to Callan Potter is a good sign for you. So I'll pick Charles Byrd, but I don't want anything to do with this fight.
All right, Bradford.
Yeah, I was just like looking through records and stuff because, God, like I've seen Charles Byrd fight on the regional circuit, but I wasn't gonna go watch fucking tape on these guys or anything like that. I'm not some sort of sadist. yeah, this dude lost to a 35-year-old nobody in his last UFC fight. And I know that Charles Bird's at least been competitive with some dudes throughout his career. So, yeah, I'm picking Bird, who's also actually a middleweight. And this guy seems to be coming up from 170. And I'm pretty sure that at one point he fought Andrews Nakahara. Do you remember that dude from like back in the day in Dream West, staying up till 3 a.m. to watch them like feed him to Sakuraba and shit?
Yeah. Damn,
and that's all I know.
That's going back.
That's the most I know about this dude. So I'm not betting this, but it seems like Charles Bird should win, but he lost a bunch of fights on the regional circuit. He should have won too. So no trust.
What is that picture on Nushan's wall?
Family matters, baby.
No, that's a
no, it's not.
I
like how we all lean into our screens.
Is that The Office or Seinfeld?
I thought it was at first. I thought it was Friends. I'm like, there's too many people.
No, his girl drew that. I can't remember who he said it was though.
Nushan, what is that? What is that picture on your wall?
Isn't that Seinfeld or The Office?
Yeah, bring that over here.
70s show. That's 70s.
That's
show.
70s show.
So do crafts, not
That's
drugs. Right. My girlfriend made that. It's fucking solid.
I
do
really
crafts and drugs.
like neither she nor you adhere to that sign.
No, unfortunately not.
Paintings.
But,
Charles Bird D+, Mackie Patolo D.
Rates for these guys, Jay. Come on.
The Patolo should probably be even lower. He's just not good. I'm taking Charles Bird, and I don't even like Charles Bird, but Patolo, bad resume. Bad resume. That's all I'm going to say on the subject. It's bad. All right. More interesting fight. Cody Stamann and Brian Kelleher. Brian Kelleher is, I think, the first fighter. Is that right? First fighter who fought during pandemic to fight again?
Yep.
He fought literally 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
And,
Hunter Azor KO.
He was some nice dog money against the guy that likes the gas.
And now he's facing another guy as dog money. All right.
Yeah.
Don't like this one as much.
Yeah, this guy ain't gassing though. Yeah, I'll go ahead, man. Look, I love Kelleher. That guy's won me some money last time. Stamann is gonna fuck him up, man. Like Stamann's good. That kid's legit, man. He beat fucking Yadong. Like he won that fight. That is an atrocious decision. That was really fucking bad.
Yadong's still undefeated?
Yeah, I think he is now, right? Because of the draw. Yeah. Stamann should have a win there, and Stamann was actually competitive with Aljo, man, before Aljo caught that knee bar on him. I really like Cody Stamann, man. That dude's a good fighter. If you want a parlay piece for something, I think this might be the safest route on the entire card. I love Stamann in this fight. He's gonna roll.
Okay. Brad. All right. Who's next? Nushan or Bradford? Nushan.
Yeah, I think Stamann wins this fight more often than not. I think he's just a better overall skilled fighter. The one problem he has is he doesn't feel like anybody.
Brad is just floating.
He's hunting for ghosts.
Poltergeist.
Turk's gonna bite his ass.
Do it, Turk. Do it. Sick him.
But yeah, Stamann doesn't finish anybody, which is kind of scary against a guy like Kelleher. I thought Kelleher was losing that fight against Azure, but he was able to stick around.
Yeah, he was.
Finally landed something. So that's definitely a little worrisome. He has he has the ability to stay in there and still throw with heat into the third round. So Stamann better be on his P's and Q's. I'll pick him. I just don't really want to lay that kind of juice.
I was kind of hoping you were saying his T's and P's, but P's and Q's is something else. All right, Brad.
I'm right on board with everybody else here. This is a great fight for Stamann. Wrestling advantage. Kelleher's a guy that is willing to fight from his back. Striking advantage goes to Stamen as well, and Kelleher, as we saw, was getting beaten up by a significantly lesser striker until he gassed. And even then, like, he wasn't landing a ton before he got knocked out there. So I think this is pretty much one-way traffic for Stamen. Kelleher's tough, probably makes it to a decision. So yeah, not a lot going on here. Stamen by decision is minus money as well, so hard to find a bet unless you just want to throw Stamen in a parlay.
Yeah, Kelleher C minus, Stamen C plus. Yeah, the guys are right. This matchup's I think is really fits well for Stamen. I also think Kelleher fighting 3 weeks ago. I'm not sure that's necessarily a good idea. Just kind of quickly getting back in there. But yeah, Stamen.
It's not like it was like a quick fight or anything, too.
No,
he took some damage in that fight as well.
It wasn't a 1 minute fight. It wasn't a Greg Hardy knockout type of fight. Now he's back in there. But Stamen, significant wrestling advantage. Again, better striker. It's hard to see Kelleher winning unless he gets like a shock submission, and I just see that as being unlikely. Like Stamen really does pretty well, like timing his takedowns. And he's just a superior fighter across the board, evidenced by the grades. I think this is one of the better parlay pieces on the card. I think it's pretty safe. Probably a decision victory. It's really difficult to see how Kelleher wins 2 rounds of a fight against Stamen. It really is. So again, Stamen probably one of the safest parlay pieces on the card. Maybe makes sense to parlay with just looking at
Metafield.
I think there's someone else later, a little bit later on the card that probably a better piece, and when you combine them, it gets it kind of gets you to a nice spot. But I'll get to that in a few fights. All right, who do we got next? We got Ian Heinisch and Meerkat, Gerald Meerkat Love, Gerald Mearshart. All right, Wes. Are you on the Meerkat? You are a Meerkat fan, aren't you?
Yeah. More than I am. More than I am a Heinisch fan. I'll put it that way. I mean, at least you know what you're gonna get out of Meerkat every single time. He's gonna be a tough out. He's gonna stay in the fight. I think Heinisch is. A lot of the guys he faces, he's a little bit better than, man. But he's one of those dudes that, when shit gets tough, man, that guy gasses like every single time. Make it a rough fight. He'll gas out. Like Sean was saying about Stamen, he doesn't finish fights. He lets guys stay around. So he could usually out wrestle and muscle guys for a round and a half. And then if he can't get them out of there, it's bad business. And what does Meerkat do? And every fight that he wins, man, he just stays in there and out toughs guys. And I think he's going to do that to Heinisch here. So I like plus money here. So I'll take a little bit of it.
All right, new Sean.
Yeah, I really like the Meerkat as well. He's the longer fighter. He's like a 5-inch reach advantage. He's also a southpaw, which can confuse guys as well when they're not used to fighting them. I just never thought very much of Ian Heinisch. He was able to kind of survive against some jiu-jitsu guys that ended up gassing, and he was able to get some wins. His last 2 times out did not look great. I mean, I can forgive the Derek Brunson one just because I think Derek Brunson is pretty decent. That Akhmedov loss is not great. He's not a very good fighter, that Akhmedov. So I think Meerkat can make it a gritty fight, go for takedowns. If he does get taken down himself, throw up subs and transition and just do well in this fight. So I got 2 units on him at plus 112. I like Meerkat a lot in this one.
Just before we touch on that, just doing some reading. Looks like Cody Stamen's younger brother passed away. Well, just last week. We didn't touch on that. Only 18 years old. Certainly a sad situation. I guess in relation to this fight, I guess you really never know. ultimately how that plays out. So certainly take that into account. Anyway, yeah,
T's and P's.
T's and P's for sure. Brad, back on brand.
Jay was talking about that, and I was reading our boy Steve's comments in the chat about fucking Heine and Meerkat being for the urinal lozenge IQ.
Steve.
So if you saw me,
scroll up and look what he said about Gilbert or about fucking Herbert Burns earlier.
Shoes, yeah.
With the PD shoes. He's a funny cat, man.
Me and him were having some fun in your post-fight chat on the weekend too. Yeah. Steve's a good guy. Yeah, this fight, honestly, if I saw this price and the Akhmedov fight didn't happen, I would be all over Heinisch here. I'd been like, yeah, you lost to Derek Brunson. Like, Derek Brunson's just better than him. And so I've got no problems there. But that's a bit of a troubling fight. But man, it's tough though, because he's not a dude that gets finished. He'll gas and he'll start to give away fights, but Meerkat's not the type of guy that really wins fights. He loses fights and then he wins moments. Yeah. But he's good when he wins those moments at finding openings and actually finishing the fight, which not a lot of guys are great at doing these days. So this one I'm really torn on. I get why the line is basically a pick 'em, because I could see, like, I think that Heinisch is going to win the first round no matter what. And then you get into that sort of tricky, does he do enough to steal the second round before he completely gasses in the third and loses it? Is Meerkat able to actually find the opening to finish the fight in the second or the third? So I think if you're looking at this fight, and you don't really know what to bet, but you're an absolute degen like myself, you can look at like a Meerkat round 3 prop, which is plus 1325 right now, which is absolutely insane for a dude that all he does is basically finish dudes. So I think that's the only thing I'm going to play here. Put like $25 on that and just sort of just cheer on a dude gassing and a guy finding the opening. So that's my play here. Honestly, I don't really have it. I think if I had to make a pick, it'd probably be Heinisch by decision to just hold on. But that Meerkat plus 1325 in round 3 is nuts.
That seems a little off.
Yeah,
just a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. I got Heinisch C+, Meerkat C-. Although I think Heinisch is probably the worst C+ fighter I got, so it's probably a shade closer than those grades kind of lay out. My issue with Meerkat is that he can be easily taken down. Like, he has some frailties, but he's like pretty good in scrambles and sort of finds himself in like these weird opportunistic situations, which he's been able to capitalize on against kind of lesser fighters, kind of like Kevin Holland. Is Heinisch a guy you can really
trust?
Confident in? Trust? No, and that's an issue with siding with Heinisch, which is why I'm not betting it. But I mean, I think there's some obvious advantage. He's a much better wrestler than Meerkat. I could see situations where he could have Meerkat down on the ground for significant periods of time. He hits way harder than Meerkat does. But I mean, again, Meerkat has shown that he's capable of winning scrambles and finding opportunities, and he has shown he can finish fights. So is definitely not a guy you like to bet against. So why do it? So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm not going to bet it. I'm going to sit back, watch, pick Heinisch, and we'll see what happens.
Play a crazy prop with me, Jay. Do it.
What's up?
Play a crazy prop with me. Do it.
Think about it. Alex Caceres, Blue Friedler versus Chase Hooper. Hooper Scooper.
Go ahead, John.
This line is fucking ballooned. Holy shit. I got Hooper at minus 110. I just played it for a minute.
Great price.
Yeah, it is. I just looked, and it is now -1. What the hell is it? Minus
Might have been 200 earlier.
185?
Minus 175 is the lowest that I see anywhere.
Yeah, that's kind of
That's a lot.
that's pretty
Yeah,
high.
that's
Deserved.
that's a little out of the range, though. I think.
Yeah, I definitely
there.
wouldn't bet him at this price. This is kind of just a small play. Caceres likes to get subbed, and Hooper's pretty damn good on the ground. I was pretty surprised by Caceres winning his last fight. I thought Peterson was better than him at this point, and he easily won that fight. So Bruce Leroy is kind of just a crapshoot how he's going to show up that day, but I think Hooper's pretty decent, and he's young and is probably making pretty big strides. So I at that price, I had to take him. So, but I would not touch it minus 185 or whatever the fuck it is now.
Brad or Wes rather.
Yeah, at around even money or something like that, I'd have probably taken a little shot on Hooper. The line going up, I mean, it's going into the category that seeing Caceres' last fight is making me consider taking a little bit of Caceres if it keeps going up, just because I did bet Steve Peterson that fight, and Caceres is usually a head case, like Sean said. You don't know what you're gonna get, but he looked pretty fucking good in that fight. I think that version of Caceres is a tough fight for Hooper. I do favor Hooper. I just think he's 20 years old, and almost every one of his next few fights is going to be the biggest fight of his life every single time. So, I mean, that's a lot of pressure, and just we've seen good Caceres recently. I think good Caceres is a tough out for him. Man, I'm not betting anything on it at this point, but if Caceres gets up to 2-1 or something like that, I'm gonna probably have to sprinkle just a little bit. I just think that would be a little too high for a 20-year-old kid who I think's good, but he's still a 20-year-old kid that doesn't have many big fights. But I'm gonna pick Hooper, but I'm gonna watch the line for sure. No bettas right now.
Okay. I got Hooper C-, Caceres.
What about Brad?
Oh, sorry.
Come on, Jay. What are we doing here?
Getting excited to talk about it. All right. Brad doesn't know who Hooper is, so
I don't. So this is a weird fight to me because I see that he's got one like moderately recognizable name on his record, and he beat the guy up pretty quickly. But that guy, I recognize the name because his brother's half decent and he sucks. So that doesn't mean a whole lot to me. And then you've got Caceres, who, as much as he's got faults and puts himself in shitty spots in fights, and he's prone to getting subbed and all that sort of stuff, occasionally he'll take those risks and they'll pay off for him. And maybe against a 20-year-old guy who doesn't have a lot of experience against decent fighters, that could be a time where one of those risks pays off. So, Caceres, if I got the price that Nushan got, I would absolutely just basically on site fade Caceres. But looking at the way everything is playing out in this fight, I could see Caceres maybe catching something, maybe catching a little sub at plus 2,000.
Jesus.
No, god damn. I'm glad Brad's back doing the show consistently, because we're gonna hit us one of these. Watch, because I'm betting
These are
all of them.
stupid props.
I know, I'm betting all of them. Every time you say this, I'm gonna be betting all of them.
The Caceres D+, Hooper C-. Hooper only 20 years old. He's got to be, if not the youngest, like one of the 3 youngest fighters currently in the UFC.
Yeah.
I think he's got real talent. I mean, he's super long for this weight class. Is 6'1". He's going to be like Caceres is usually one of the longer guys when he fights, but like Hooper's is super long, lanky for this weight class. I think he's got real talent. Interesting submission game. I I like him here. I think the price is warranted. I think there's a reason why it ballooned. Should be even over 2-1. So a little bit of value, but not a ton, like minus 215. Probably like proper lining for this fight. We'll see what happens to Hooper in the future, but this should be a good opportunity to get a W. All right, main card. Pay-per-view main card starts off with a banger. Should be as good for as long as it lasts. O'Malley, Snoop Dogg's favorite fighter, taking on good old Eddie Wineland, who continues to come back from like supposed retirements. Never usually bodes well long term. All right, Wes. How long does this fight last?
I don't know.
15, motherfucker.
We're talking about first round stuff. O'Malley's got that first round finish his last time out, but I mean he's been decision mostly since coming up UFC. I like O'Malley here. I'm not sure what to think of Wineland at this point. 35 years old. I know he did win last time out. Believe he caught a knockout, but man,
he didn't look great up until that point.
He didn't look great.
Yeah.
He didn't look great before that fight whatsoever. 35 years old. I think O'Malley's pretty good. I think he can be pretty good. Probably gets a finish at some point here. I'm not positive though. I do not want to lay close to minus 500 on a guy this young though. I can't do that. So, not sure. I don't have a bet on this fight yet. O'Malley's definitely going to be the pick. Like Brad said, I'm a DGen too, so I'll probably look for some sort of prop before the card, but nothing as of yet. O'Malley the pick. I can't lay minus 500 here.
Okay, Nushan.
Well, I hope it goes 15 minutes because I took Doge's decision at plus 240.
Not bad.
Unit on that. That was a pretty high number, I thought. Wineland, I mean, he does lose, but for the most part, he's pretty tough in there, and he's able to weather the storm. Man, that Nunes fight last time out, like, did he just freeze up? Because he just let O'Malley just run him over with little resistance. I think Wineland will be a little more resistant. I think O'Malley probably gets a decision here. Or a late finish. So I like the goes decision prop that I took, and I'll pick O'Malley. But yeah, it's tough to lay almost minus 500 on a guy like that. Like, yeah, he should win, but I think there's better spots on this card.
Bradford.
Yeah, I missed a little bit of what Wes said there, but I think this fight definitely has a little bit of legs to it. When I pulled this up and I saw that the over was 1.5, I was a little confused there. I'm definitely willing to, over 1.5 minus 150.
2.5.
Nope.
Oh fuck! I gotta get my ass checked.
So that line that Sean played, the goes decision plus 240, I think you said. That's a pretty solid play, but I like the over 1.5 here at minus 150. I don't think that, like, O'Malley's fine. He's got some hype behind him because of his look and his attitude and all that sort of stuff. But I don't think this kid's a world beater.
Not yet. I mean, he might be, but not yet.
Exactly. So I think that Wineland's tricky enough that he's probably going to give him some trouble here. And honestly, before you know me, I always look at the nutso props because that's what I want to win and want to hit those big tickets. And I end up putting a little bit on Wineland decision at plus 1050 in this one. I think it's down at like 800 now. I honestly don't think it's going to happen. The pick here is going to be O'Malley by decision, but over 1.5 in this fight kind of seems crazy to me. So I'm definitely playing that a little bit, but I think O'Malley's probably going to eke out the decision. Not even eke out the decision. It's probably going to be relatively clear, but I think it's going to be a lengthy fight.
I got O'Malley C, Wineland C minus. Just a couple of statistics. O'Malley 3 inches longer reach, 4 inches taller, 10 inches or 10 years younger, and the big one is strikes landed. O'Malley lands roughly twice as many strikes per minute than Wineland does. I mean, people think of Wineland as a striker, a boxer, but and he is. But he doesn't throw the volume that O'Malley does. That's just the reality of it. O'Malley has been accurate so far in his UFC career, and maybe O'Malley could be vulnerable on the mat, but Wineland only averages less than like one takedown every 45 minutes. Like he doesn't. He's not a wrestler. He doesn't go for takedowns, and I think he's gonna struggle then. I just think O'Malley's gonna have too much volume. And he's longer, bigger, and way younger. I think that's dangerous. I think Wineland's going to get KO'd. Honestly, he's broken his jaw how many times now? Like at least twice. I think this is a bad situation. He's facing an accurate, strike-heavy fighter. So I think O'Malley gets to win and gets to KO. It could be
jaws now, Jay.
But it could be over 1.5 rounds, though. We're just gonna have to wait and see. So, anyway, we got a few fights left on the main card. This one's gonna be a fun one, I feel. Neil Magny, Mr. Consistent, taking on Kayla Harrison's boy, Anthony Rocco Martin. Rocco's Martin life, right, Brad?
The funny man. Tell me a joke, funny man. Rocco.
Anyway, Wes, thoughts on this one? Welterweight matchup.
Look, I might end up being completely wrong here. I am a lot, but I'm not sure how really competitive this fight is. Like, not saying that I think I'm picking Magny here, but not saying I think Magny's gonna truck him. I just think Magny can get this fight into a spot that he can dominate it. I think he's gonna get takedowns here, and I think he'll get takedowns on a guy that gets taken down a lot. And he's a really good fighter on top, man. Over like the past 3 years or so, Magny's only lost to Dos Anjos and Pontumbo. Like that's the only guys he's lost to. His last fight out against Jangalang might have been the best performance he's ever had, man. Like he's really good right now at 32 years old. I'm not the biggest fan of Tony Martin either. I think he's okay in a lot of areas, but he's got some flaws where Magny's really good, man. Magny's really good at getting takedowns, really good at using his size and his length, and I think he does that here. I'm betting Magny. I'm betting Magny pretty big. This is one of my favorite bets on the entire card. So yeah, Magny all day for me here.
Okay, Nushan.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what Wes says. I really like Magny here. He's got a 7-inch reach advantage, 3-inch height advantage, and he actually uses his length pretty well in most fights. Like Wes said, he really only loses to kind of the upper echelon guys, the top 7 guys in the weight class. I don't think Tony Martin is the top 7. He looked okay against Ramazan Ameev last time, but that guy doesn't really do much. Magny is a workhorse. He throws a decent amount of volume, and like Wes says, he does go for takedowns. And I think he'll get him against Tony Martin, and he'll be able to get a decision. So I took him at -140 for 2 units.
Okay, Brad.
Yeah, Tony Martin has moments where he looks like a pretty good fighter. Going back to all the way back to his UFC debut. I think that was against one of Jay's Russian boys, and like he looked pretty good in the first round. I want to say that was
Magomedov.
Yeah,
Little Madov. Yeah.
I was going to say Ruslan, but I appreciate the fact check there. Looked good for a round in that fight and then lost. And he's had other times in his career where he's looked good for a round and then lost. And he's never really looked good against the caliber of fighter that Neil Magny is. He'll have his moments. You know, if Demian Maia gasses or something like that, he'll be able to do some shit against him. But Neil Magny's not going to gas in this fight. These guys are going to, on the outside, Magny's got the reach advantage. As Wes said, pretty good at using it. You know, he doesn't have classic tall guy defense or anything like that. He's not going to get knocked out by an overhand right or nothing crazy. So at distance, he's fine. When they close in and get into the clinch, Magny's going to have a huge advantage. He's going to be able to body lock him, get takedowns. And the funny man fucking thinks that he's actually capable of subbing guys from his back in 2020 in top 10 fights in MMA. And it's just not going to happen. So if Magny gets on top, he's going to do some work here. Funny man's not going to be so funny when it hits round 2 and round 3 and he starts to get a little tired in this fight. And I quite like Neil Magny in this one as well. So I've got a decent sized bet on him. At this point, I've got a unit and a half. That minus 135 is pretty tempting to add some more.
You see Steve in the chat saying that Tony Martin's got the charisma of a W-9 for him. It's pretty good. Pretty nice little tax joke. I don't know if those Canadians get that one.
I think you missed half of our podcast with that one.
That's okay. That's pretty good. All right. New Sean. No, you're already good. Yeah. So the three. All right. So I guess we're gonna make it a consensus. I got Magny a C plus, Tony Martin a C. I mean, Tony Martin's I think definitely improved. I think definitely more confident now that he's hanging out with Kayla all the time. I guess he's into the gold medals. I think that's part of it for sure. Seems to be comfortable at welterweight. Certainly, he's one of those guys who's found a way to move up a weight class and has become a better fighter. I guess Gilbert Burns is another. There's been several who've at this point have moved up a weight class and have gotten better. I guess maybe Kelvin Gastelum's another guy as well. So, but the thing is, in this fight, he's kind of outgunned here. I feel he's facing a guy who's throws more volume, gets hit less. He's Magny's longer, taller, and is a better wrestler than than Martin. I feel like, though, that this fight could end up being a lot on the cage, and Magny's going to push him against the cage. I think he's stronger than Tony Martin, and it's going to be a lot of Magny on the outside, Martin pushed up against the cage, and kind of like Magny kind of doing Magny stuff. Exactly, he's going to Magny him. Little, it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be like heavy shots, but it's going to be just he's going to win by volume. And that'd be enough to win a decision. Maybe 29-28. I could see that being, a pretty straight score across the board. It wouldn't surprise me one bit.
Medov?
What's up?
Yeah.
Magny Medov?
Magny Medov.
Magnetized?
We're going to be magnetized. Magnetize the demons. That's right. All right. Magny. That is the MMA Analysis consensus bet of the week. Neil Magny Medov. Going to magnetize our listeners and magnetize the viewers on Saturday night at UFC 250. New Sean, what's the price?
Minus 135.
Minus 135. We're going for 2 in a row. We win this week, and then we win the next card. That's what we call a winning streak.
No shitty Shevchenko parlays.
Yep.
Not happening. All right.
Dude, she was supposed to win 82% of the time in that fight. I saw somebody.
Where'd you get that? How'd you come up with that number? You look at a chart
sheet in front of
Is that Bo math?
Cheat sheet.
You look.
Is that Ben math? Is that dog math?
Ben's on a heater, Jay.
What about doggy? What about doggy math?
That's a bit tougher. You need the calculator for that shit.
Need calculator for that. Move the decimal place over. Yeah. All right. Now we get to the real part of the card. 2 excellent bantamweight matchups back to back. We got Aljamain Sterling, Corey Sandhagen.
Because they're in the wrong order.
In terms of like the real purpose, I guess so. But I guess it doesn't matter. It's awesome. It's going to be a good hour of combat sports. But yeah, this is a big fight, an important fight in the bantamweight division between two guys who have not fought for the title before. And you're right, the winner probably should be the number one contender. So Wes, start us off.
Yeah, this is fantastic, man. What a fight. Yeah, I'm sure most know, listen to me, how much of an Aljo stan that I am. I have been for a few years now. It's probably gonna have some bias in my pick, I would think. Although I really like Sandhagen, I think we all do. I think this fight it is really close, but the first thing, when you're splitting hairs on these kind of fights, I think you got to look at level of competition and stuff. I think Aljo has absolutely fought the better competition at this point. I think arguably the best guy that Sandhagen fought, he probably lost to and got a pretty good decision to go his way. But I think Lineker beat him. So in the biggest fight of his life, he performed well. Don't get me wrong. He performed well enough to get a greasy decision to go his way. Then as far as the fight goes, I think this probably ends up a kickboxing match. Most of these fights do when you have two good guys that have really good takedown defense and stuff. I just think Sandhagen does I don't know. It's just a lot of wasted stuff, man. He throws a lot of stuff. He's flashy, but it's just a lot of stuff that's just showy that doesn't do a lot. And Aljo, when he throws, he fucking lands, man. He throws massive leg kicks. He throws massive kicks to the body. Sandhagen's hands are probably better, but I think Aljo's all-around striking game is probably just a tiny bit better. It's a really close fight. I just think if Aljo keeps this at a tiny bit of distance, uses his kicks well, he's going to land the bigger, harder strikes, and he'll eke out a decision here. I'm betting Aljo because I bet Aljo every time out. Probably shouldn't. It's probably one I should just pass on and watch. But I like Aljo here, and I think Aljo is going to have that belt very, very soon. I think he's the best guy in division. I love
better than Peter Yan.
Yep. Not necessarily.
Oh, here we go.
Not necessarily better. I just think he has a style that can beat all of those guys if he has the right game plan in the fight. I like Yan better than Sandhagen. I think Peter Yan is the second best guy in the division in my opinion. Aljo's just got a style that can beat all those guys, and then we forget that Aljo's a really good wrestler and I believe he's a black belt under Sarah. Like, that guy is good everywhere, man. He's really fucking good. I think he's going to have that belt very soon.
New Sean.
Yeah, Aljo's definitely kind of putting it together finally. He was pretty hyped up coming into the UFC, and
he was
some tough
little
matchups.
Jon Jones. People compared him to John.
And
he's in the best shape of his life, too. He's in the best shape of his life. That dude looks absolutely fucking ripped right now.
Yeah. So he did have a couple losses there or some close fights. He fought Caraway to a split decision when Caraway was pretty good. And Asunsao was a tough guy to look good against back in 2017. And a lot of people thought he won that fight anyway. He just seems to be putting it together. I think one thing I think he can take down Sandhagen. I don't think he can keep him there just because of how Sandhagen can scramble. But that is something nice that's in your back pocket in case, it's starting to get crazy in there. Take him down even if he scrambles, just to kind of stop the madness on the feet or just to kind of clinch the later part of a round. It's probably a nice thing to have there. So I don't think Aljo's able to keep him down there, but it's a nice thing to have in his back pocket. Sandhagen's awesome on the feet. He can switch up his stances. He throws very unorthodox stuff. So I think this is a close fight, but I would give Aljo the edge. I haven't bet him yet, but I'm kind of looking at possibly placing a wager.
It's dropping.
It's like minus 110 right now, just a small play.
All right, Bradford.
Yeah, I've been back and forth on this one. Basically, whenever I've been looking at the line, which has been since the last card ended, so not super long, but this is a tricky fight for me because I agree with what Wes is saying that if Aljo's able to keep it on the outside, he's got the better kicking game. Do we know if this card is going to be in the bigger cage?
Small cage.
Moving?
It's at the apex.
Small cage again.
Yep.
I think the thing that makes it really tricky for me is that even without knowing that it was in the small cage, eventually Sandhagen's a good enough striker that he's going to be able to close that distance and get inside of that kicking range a little bit of Aljo's. And his volume is just so much higher than Aljo's when they're on the feet. Like I said, Aljo's got the advantage when they're on the outside. He's got a great kicking game. But once Sandhagen's able to sort of break that distance and get inside, he's just going to stay on him all the time. And that's where it gets tricky for me because Aljo's definitely the better wrestler. And Sandhagen's one of those guys that doesn't really care if he gets taken down because he's good at scrambling back to his feet. But Aljo's a significantly better grappler, I think, once they hit the mat. So maybe he is able to hold him there a little bit. So I really don't know which way to go. If Aljo really embraces his wrestling in this one, and as Wes said, he looks like he's in great shape. It seems like he can probably go and just push like a really hard pace with his grappling. I think that he could probably win a pretty easy decision that way. But if he decides that he just wants to play striker and play kickboxer here, I could see Sandhagen's volume and everything winning over the judges in this one. So I'm going to stay away from it as far as a bet goes, unless maybe I look at like a decision or an over, which I haven't really considered because I figured they'd kind of be out of my price range in this one. I'm just going to sit back and watch this one because this should be a great fight.
Yep.
Yeah, I got both guys in A-. I don't need to say much because Brad kind of nailed it. This is a tough fight to call. I think both guys have an advantage in one place. It's just a matter of really how much each is able to kind of capitalize and get the time in those spaces to where they have the advantage. I mean, there's a huge volume advantage for Sandhagen. He throws a lot more. If it becomes a numbers game, Sandhagen's going to win the fight. If it becomes a top control situation, then Sterling's going to win this fight. And it's hard to tell which kind of way it's going to go. I like both these guys. I think they're both really good. I've faded Sandhagen in the past and lost on it. Not going to do it again. I like Sterling, but I really don't want my money on it. I'm going to sit back and watch it. I think it's, again, really good fight. We're going to learn a lot about both guys and where they sit after this. So should be really fun. Co-main event, also in the bantamweight division, as we discussed, probably should be the middle fight on the pay-per-view and not the co-main, but it does feature a former champion, the Cody Garbrandt, back from Knockout City, taking on
the boys.
Rafael
Chilling with the boys.
Counter striker versus knockout striker. Wes, who's going to get the nod here?
Oh man, you gotta go with fucking meat brains here, man.
It's so begrudging.
Look, I think we probably all break us down the same. A Sun Sal been good for so long, but he's just getting towards that age of in this weight class, man, that he's going to slow down. And the main thing is I just don't think he's got the punching power enough to hurt Cody. Now saying that, man, he could smack Cody hard and probably turn him into an idiot. Like you never know with that guy. Just figure at a line like this, I think Cody's taking the time off. If he doesn't go stupid like he does in fights and gets knocked the fuck out, He's got his hand speed and punching power are levels above a Sun Sal's here. I wouldn't be shocked if Cody takes him out. I really wouldn't. So I like Gallbrand here, man. I just think there's question marks in certain areas, but man, when you're getting a striker like Gallbrand against an aging guy like this at this price, you almost have to take a little shot on it.
All right, Sean.
I think this is a setup fight. I think the UFC wanted Garbrandt in the main event because they think he's marketable. He has kind of headlined some pay-per-views and co-mated some pay-per-views, and he's still 28 years old. So I think they think there's still something there. And the Sun Sal's 38, man. He's getting old. He's coming off a couple pretty rough fights. I'm completely aware that I'm putting my money on an absolute meathead who might go at the flick of a light switch. If he gets hit hard and goes zombie mode, then he could get knocked out. But a Sun Sal really isn't that guy. Like he has good striking, but I don't think it's at the level where it's going to be able to clip Cody and smash him. A Sun Sal relies a decent amount on takedowns to kind of stamp rounds and stuff like that. He's not going to be able to do that against Cody. He has such good takedown defense. Garbrandt moved and did his camp with Mark Henry in New Jersey. So at least he's not just sitting and staying.
Get him out of here.
Not staying in at an alpha male and just going through the cycle. He actually moved and tried to get better. So I think that's going to pay off in this fight. He's going to be a little more composed, and he's just a faster, better fighter. There is that chance with his chin, but I don't think Sun Sal's the guys who's going to be able to tag it. So I got 2 units on Garbrandt at -143. I think he's going to style on a Sun Sal.
Not much more to say than that. Brad?
Yeah, as much as none of us trust Garbrandt at all in this fight.
We all got it.
Not necessarily in this fight, as much as we just don't trust Garbrandt at all because, as we said, he's fucking applesauce brain meathead. We were before the show, we were very seriously considering making him not to spoil Jay's breakdown or anything. We were very seriously considering making him the consensus bet. But it's Cody Garbrandt, so you don't know that he might not get clipped with something and just absolutely shut off and do the stupidest thing imaginable and just end up losing the fight. But as far as breaking down the fight goes, yeah, Sun Sal is a tough guy to look good against, but Garbrandt's a more technical striker. Sun Sal is 100% a counter striker. He's just going to wait for you to come to him and do your thing, and he's going to try and work off it. And I don't think that's going to be super effective against Garbrandt. He's the type of guy where if you push the pace on him a little bit, he's going to give you openings, but he's a good enough technical striker that if you just sit back and let him do his thing, he should be able to pick you apart. And I think that's kind of what happens in this fight. Maybe he gets him out of there. Sun Sal has always been a tough guy to get rid of. But I think Garbrandt just wins this fight pretty clearly. And I've got a little bet on him as well. Just 1 unit for me.
I got both guys to be. Yeah, like Brad mentioned, Sun Sal, classic counter striker. Garbrandt, Golden Gloves trained boxer. Really, really fast hands. I mean, we saw how he made Dominic Cruz look silly when they fought. So the speed is certainly a big advantage here. I mean, when Garbrandt struggled when other guys were able to kind of come at him, but now that he's a Sun Sal is gonna be waiting for him, I think that really plays into Cody's hands. I think this is the type of fight where he can kind of be the predator, and it's going to work to his advantage and to get the result. With that said, it's hard to trust any fighter who's been knocked out their last 3 times, even though he's 10 years younger. Smaller weight classes, I usually feel that you always got to even go younger just because of the speed. speed is so huge in these sub 145 weight classes, and Garbrandt really has that here. He really should win this time and time again, but it's Cody Garbrandt, and he's a meathead, and he does dumb things. So we'll see what happens. Main event. Magny Nunes defending the title for the umpteenth time, taking on fake Canadian.
Fake Canadian. God damn it.
Canadian pound for pound number one. Is this like the Greg Ruzetsky of like Canadian MMA? Is this what this is? Like you sort of claim it, but you don't.
We don't claim it.
She's from Florida. She's a Florida woman.
Why she has a Canadian flag next to her name?
Because the UFC are trying to market any fucking gimmick to get somebody.
Claim her. You're telling me that your fellow that the MMA journos of Canada have not claimed her as their own.
This is the McDavid, the McGoat of Canadian MMA. Like
wow.
She is. She was born in Montreal and lived in Florida since she was like a young age. Sounds like she's from Florida.
How young we talking about?
I'm pretty sure she was like in her 4 or 5 or something like that.
She's been converted. Especially she's lived in Florida. She's already been converted. There's no way she's Canadian.
It's kind of funny. Like I understand there's no up and coming, big name Canadians.
What about the Jourdain brothers?
The Laramie brothers? I thought they were like
the Laramie brothers, the Jourdain brothers. They're fighting on 2-on-2 tag matches, brothers and brothers.
Canada has nothing right now. I mean, Jourdain
fight.
Jourdain's fighting next week. That'll be one of the highlights of that fight card because the rest is damn near trash.
Charles Jourdain?
Yeah. But other than that, there's nothing.
It's a soft C. Charles.
And Canada's a decent market for the UFC, so they want to try to get us anyway how. But I see through their bullshit. She's from Florida. She ain't no Canadian. And she's gonna get her ass
Nobody's
by
You're the only one who thinks that. Maybe Brad.
Brad knows what's up.
You're telling me MMA journalist community, the MMA journalist community, the certain TSN individuals haven't claimed her as their own yet.
He may have.
No.
He does not speak for the rest of us.
Our boy has more journalistic integrity
than that, huh?
Than that.
Well, we have other Canadian journalist friends who do not have as much journalistic integrity and would certainly claim her as their own.
There's a guy over at ESPN that would claim her and any other fucking person.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
He does.
Yeah, he does. That's a good point.
Well, he thinks that Felicia Spencer and the Tampa Bay Lightning are both from Canada, so
he's been a fan since childhood.
I'll let it slide.
It was still great seeing him tear up when the Nats won, and he couldn't claim that.
Oh my god!
That's funny.
Anyway, Wes, what do you got?
How long does this fight last? Seriously,
we can make this quick, man. Nunes. I like TKO. I'm going to put a little money on that. Inside the distance, I believe, is minus 170 or so. That's playable. She's going to end her first round, second round, maybe. Maybe she makes it. Maybe she's tough enough to get to the second round. I mean, she went. Didn't she go 3 with Cyborg? So maybe she gets a couple rounds. Nunes, she'll get her out of there eventually. I mean, come on, dude. This is a pay-per-view main event. Like, seriously, I would get, even if you put, I could understand if it's Cyborg running it back with her, but come on, man. This is atrocious. Nunes by destruction. We know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't even know. Like, Nunes might just win a decision and everyone's going to cry.
5 rounds?
I don't.
It's going to be.
I hear you, man. I just cannot see Spencer staying on the bottom or on the feet with her for 25 minutes. I mean,
yeah, I guess we'll see. Like, I mean, Spencer did take some shit from Cyborg, but I don't know. Spencer is getting all this hype, and I just don't get it. Fucking Rogan was just absolutely. He swears that she won that fight against Cyborg, even though she got fucking outstruck 3-1. Like I did
He's
not get the
gone.
calling in that fight. That was not a close fight, and people pumped up Spencer from it. And you survived. That's what you did. You didn't look absolutely horrible, and you survived against Cyborg. The other two chicks that she's fought in the UFC are basically virgins on the ground. So I think she's going to have a tough time against Nunes. Nunes is going to tee off on her. And hopefully she gets a finish early on, because I think that would be a good... we don't want to see this go 25 minutes at this time of the night.
Bradford.
Oh, my bad. Go ahead, Brad.
Let's steal your thunder.
I'm just trying to wait, and I hope that Wes announces whether or not he's doing a post-fight show before this fight starts, because that's probably the only thing that's the only thing that is going to keep me up through this, because it's going to be 12:30 by the time this starts, and I don't give a fuck. Like I whoever wins this, Amanda Nunes, yes, she's the greatest female fighter of all time. I don't care. Like I'm probably gonna throw a couple bucks on Felicia Spencer by decision, just because I want to see absolute chaos rain down in MMA land, and see the tears and of what would happen if she wins, and how terrible it would be for the UFC. And
she'd be a Canadian national hero.
Tears for fears.
Then we might actually accept her as Canadian if she wins the fight.
Sean would be her biggest fan.
I honestly don't care. She's, for however long the fight lasts, she's probably gonna get back up to the cage and get pieced up like she did in Cyborg, and it's just a matter of if she's got enough chin for her to last, or if Cyborg puts her away. Or it's not Cyborg, Amanda Nunes puts her away.
All right, Spencer B+, Nunes A++. I mean, could Spencer get a takedown in this fight? Yeah, probably.
Steve, shit.
Jay, wait until it gets to round 3 or round 4. She's gonna take over. I'm telling you, Nunes is gonna get tired punching her all that. She's gonna she better hope she gets some 10-8s in round 1 and round 2, because she's gonna lose 3, 4, and 5. Felicia Spencer by decision, baby.
She's planning to squeeze. She's planning to squeeze the oranges. It's not gonna work, I mean that Florida oranges,
Oh man, she better be on that Florida meth, like a lot of it.
It's gonna be tough. I mean, Nunes is such an advantage on the feet. It's not even. It's night and day. Nunes has like dynamite in her hands for women's MMA. If she lands clean, she's gonna hurt Spencer, and it's only gonna be a matter of time.
Her on the mat is that wide of a difference too. Like,
yeah, but Spencer could get top control though, and then we'll see what happens. I don't want to talk about this anymore. Nunes is gonna win. It's hard to see how she doesn't. Let's move on from this. I've had enough.
Did you like that, Wes?
Yeah, I'm through one full already. Good shit.
Next week there's 4 women's fights, so
that's what I clicked over to and was like, oh my god, that's the main event. I forgot about that. Jesus Christ.
We might not break down any of the women's fights and just get Jerry on here to tell us about his wonderful trip to Atlanta. I think that would be more enjoyable than breaking down the 4 women's fights.
How just guys got like pictures of Dana like doing Aradia fucking gotta have a belt around his fucking neck, like just straight jacking it to some gay porn or something with a belt around his neck. I don't know. She's got something on this dude. Yeah, with Dakota, like them hanging out, just chilling.
No, just him watching it.
Something, man, because how the fuck are we still here with Jessica Hyde? She's main event cards.
Wes, this is as high profile as it gets at women's flyweight without it being a title fight. I don't know what you want. Like, if you don't make this a main event, you can't complain on any of this shit being buried on the prelims.
I think it's very possible.
What I want before that card happens is COVID. So maybe I'm in a hospital on a ventilator.
Nushon, your mission is to see if Calvillo's been training at a garage.
Ugh. Don't care.
Who cares?
She's not an alpha male.
Who cares? We're getting that Atlanta Jerry story.
Important.
That's what's going to be exciting about next week's card because that is a dumpster.
You've already heard it. You already know the
fans have it.
We know the story.
Haven't heard it. This story might be even.
We don't need him coming on sharing.
Incredible than the Nashville story, honestly, because to hear how a grown man lives on his own.
We might need to do a whole PowerPoint presentation, slides and everything.
Slides on this podcast.
Jerry's got like some fucking JFK fucking crime scene.
He's got the Zapruder film.
Yeah, he's got the scenes, bro.
Believe me, that story is much better than a breakdown between Melissa Gatto versus Maria Agapova.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You just said syllables.
Hey, dude, I think I've seriously never heard of either one of them.
Scott Brown is asking, who did Calvillo do to get a main event after a draw missing weight? I think we already know the answer to that.
The answer is Dana, and Dana also has fucking sketchy photos that fucking I has on him.
Come on, Scott. What kind of question is that? You know the answer. You don't need to ask us. This is clear as day.
Man, we should boycott that card. Fuck me.
How many? I mean, seriously, how many times? I'm not even. I'm gonna shut up before I get myself in trouble.
So, like, legitimately, out of the 8 women that are competing on that card, I have not heard of 5 of them.
The only other one you've heard of is Lipsy, right?
I've heard of Lip. I've never seen her fight, but I've heard of her.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
But I have legitimately not heard of the other 5 of them.
I've heard of 5 of them. I don't know 3 of them.
1, 2.
I don't know. I don't know the cat.
There's 3 that I seriously don't know, and I know like every fighter. Like I'm that fucked up. I usually know about every fighter. There's 3 that I've literally never ever heard of.
Yeah, I'm Wes. We're on the same page.
But at least we'll hopefully have a good
2 of them are in the same fight.
I mean, this is.
But let's be serious, though. Ryan Benoit and Tyson Nam is a great MFC fight in like 2012.
Yeah, I mean that might have been for the belt. That might have been for the belt.
Brad, don't hate. You are in for the long haul.
Oh fuck!
Look, we got 2 guys that a guy on this card beat in his last 2 fights are fighting each other.
That's okay.
There's 0% chance that Lance comes on the podcast next week, right?
Who cares?
I mean, Feely.
No, just because of the women's fights.
Feely Jourdain is the best
fight. Yeah, that's the best fight on the card.
That is fucking bad, dude. And it's like one good fight.
I guess like the Vittori Roberson fight. That was the one a few weeks ago.
That's gonna be good too.
Should we try and see if we can contact the corpse of old Sean? See if we can get 4 movie breakdowns in one fight in one fight card.
The show.
I don't know. It's gonna be hard to call somebody inside of the coffin though.
There's
he was in the hills in a bunker in the hills.
There's no phone or internet connection up in the hills. I think he just crawled. He went up with those people now.
Especially 6 feet underground. Tough to get a connection.
All right. Well, let's end it on 6 feet underground, where this next card should be. So.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. That does it. We'll be back next week. Hopefully, we got 2 winners in a row for you guys. Then we'll somehow try to scrounge up a 3rd one to give you a winning streak. So we're trying for
big props this weekend, folks.
Yes, let's go for the props. Until Saturday, prop up. Enjoy the fights.